I do apologize for the late videos, but I'll buy you two anyways. Technically, I owe you three, because I got two today that I'm gonna do, plus one carryover because I missed a few days. So let's start with a case for legalization and taxation of recreational drugs. Now, when I say this is not to say I like drugs. I really don't. At least not those which are for recreational use. Such illicit substances are, in my opinion, disgraceful. But, saying that, we should acknowledge a few things. One, recreational drugs are used by many people, rather unfortunately so. A legalization has only strengthened a black market for said drugs and allowed for cartels and other criminal organizations to gain prominence. And if we want to fix this, a plan needs to exist to both undermine these organizations in question while also reducing the demand civilians have for such substances. So, given that, I've developed said plan. To start off, legalize them all. Legalization will allow for more honest dealers to enter the market and choke out the illegal organizations, especially if state forces used to damage and restrain the other illicit dealings of the organizations targeted. For example, the cartels don't just make illegal drugs, or carry them even, they also engage in a lot of other crimes alongside them, so target them for those other crimes, and you can effectively crush them. Furthermore, this is where taxation comes in. By imposing a tax on the manufacture of said drugs based on the cost of production, and another on the sale of such substances based on the cost of sale, alongside just compiling it with the tax itself when persons pay, this can be used to strangle the supply of said drugs. After all, if a tax is taken out of a company's pockets, they're going to need to charge more, raise prices. That puts a stranglehold on their income, and more specifically, the actual revenue they get out of it. It's one thing to make a lot of money, it's another thing to keep it. And just for a start, to get an idea of how much I want these things off the freaking streets, a 50% tax on both would probably be the best, if I'm being honest. 100%, I would argue, would even be acceptable in such a circumstances. Effectively doubling it after manufacture, then doubling it again at sale. Yeah, the prices are going to rise quite rapidly, and it certainly would tank the demand. And after all, you have to pay so much for such substances, and you're just looking for a quick fix. But there are other, better alternatives. Even soda, for as unhealthy as it is a better alternative. And so it would encourage such behaviors. And with such a prohibitive tax, naturally, of course, there's going to be plenty of people trying to subvert said taxes and avoid them. But since tax avoidance is far easier to prove and charge compared to, just illicit dealing of drugs, which you need a lot of effort to put into, whereas it's just bureaucracy and checking forms for tax avoidance, it would allow for the removal of even more dealers than we currently do just looking for the drugs themselves. Essentially, put them out in the open, scan their documents, and take every opportunity we can to remove them from the streets. Why? Well, they are damaging to our society. We may not like to acknowledge it, but it is damaging to have so many people using illicit substances. You could argue the same for alcohol and, of course, cigarettes, and I would. In fact, smoking is a disgrace as well. I am not a fan of it. But if we are going to deal with something, it's best not to just ban it. It's easy to say, oh, just ban it. That gets rid of it. No, it doesn't. It shoves it to a black market, then you can't deal with it, makes it harder. Right? I may dislike a thing, but I'm not gonna just say ban it outright, because really that only works in a select few circumstances. Anything that is done online, a ban is not really effective. Now, you could make it so that you need to get something in person in order to do it, especially for things like age verification. That can work. Difficult, yes, but can work. Like, say, if you want to get on something that's for 18 plus, you need to get a card that has a code so that you can input it, and voila, you're in. Fair enough, could work. Would I recommend it for all things? No, but it's theoretically possible. But just a ban? That won't work. Like we've seen with piracy sites, you ban one, they just come back somewhere else. Try to find it, crush again, and they're back somewhere else again. It's just a whack-a-mole situation, and that's not really the most efficient way to deal with them. Instead, bring them out in the open and strangle them. slowly but surely until they're gone. In effect, also making a lot of money for the state, which is very useful. And while one may argue, hey, it's only the people taking them that suffer, in truth, everyone suffers the opportunity cost that comes from recreational drug use. Think about it. Ignoring secondhand smoke from things like marijuana or tobacco smoke, let's say someone's taking heroin, right? They need more money. What are they going to do to get it? They ain't going to work. They're freaking overdosing or otherwise suffering the negative consequences of taking such a drug. The opiate is going to cause issues. And so, naturally, they are likely to steal or behave in other inappropriate manners in order to solve the problem of their lacking funds. They also can do less work. They are less productive and efficient, meaning, necessarily, that they are able to contribute less to society. Fundamentally, it is a net loss to allow such things, or to, at the very least, let it go on unscathed. And, in the method of raising taxation, that naturally leads to big advantages for curing this. One, it allows for the funding of areas for detoxification and other methods of transitioning away from such substances. And two, it allows for more rehabilitation. And since it's not illegal, those who actually want to solve things but are worried about getting arrested won't have that issue. You shouldn't do the clean needle thing because that just incentivizes more drug use. Instead, make it so that they don't want to use the needle at all. They don't want to use the white stuff or all the other nonsense. You want to strangle it. You don't want to have a loose hand, but you don't want to just shoo it away. You want to grip it and crush it. Eliminate it as a threat. That is what we should do when it comes to these substances. Eliminate them. Not through traditional means, ban it, burn it, simple stuff, but inefficient. No, tax it. In effect, modern bureaucratic nightmares to strangle it and make it less efficient, productive, and profitable. If you really want to strangle something, that is honestly the best thing you can do. It's just better that way, generally speaking. And because it's a lot easier to track most of these things, it'll be a lot easier to monitor. And if it's easier to monitor, then it's easier to handle. Because you're not dealing with people under the table buying and selling stuff. You don't need to set up patsies or anything else. It's just a matter of checking data, looking at sales numbers, and seeing where the money goes. Taxation is honestly one of the hardest things to avoid when it comes to actually, not getting punished for it if you don't pay enough. Could it theoretically be done? Yeah, especially if you're a person in a position of power, but it's difficult. Very difficult. And I severely doubt a drug dealer is going to get much respect from the police, especially when plenty of them have had to deal with the side effects of those taking the drugs. It's unlikely that the police are going to be too lenient if they have information that, hey, we can arrest this person who's been causing you issues for tax avoidance. Nah, the police are not just going to let that slide, and absolutely the IRS will take full advantage. Likely working with the police to arrest that person. Because while, yes, this is the IRS's main deal, the police will be happy to help get rid of the threats to their constant dealings. See, law enforcement has a goal, enforcing laws. How much they want to do that over other things depends on the individual, but that is the main goal. Recreational drugs cause issues with that because, let's face it, people who are drugged are not making the wisest decisions. Think about alcoholics. When you lose inhibitions, you naturally lose quite a lot of your restraints on what you do. You're less disciplined just naturally because the parts of your brain that would tell you, hey, don't do something stupid, aren't functioning as well. Drugs do the same, to a greater or lesser extent depending on the specific substance. And so, naturally, they create issues. For law enforcement especially, but also for the families of those who do it. And so, I guarantee you, plenty would be happy to see the dealers taken down, especially if detoxification is readily available and they're not worried about the people who do take the drugs that they do care about getting arrested while looking for a fix, and specifically a way to fix their behaviors so that they can no longer take them. Frankly, no matter which way you slice it, from every perspective, this just, at least to me, seems like the best solution. Drugs are bad. If we want to get rid of them, it is best not to just shove them away. Taxation allows for funding of many things. It is very effective in strangulation of a market, and taxation is equally tracked, allowing for such pursuits to be done and the effective elimination of many drug dealers. In effect, curtailing supply, curtailing demand, and increasing government profits, allowing for greater funding to other areas. Most likely, at least hopefully, for the ending of drugs. Can we get rid of all of them? Unlikely. Frankly, people are unpredictable to a certain extent, so we can never get rid of recreational illicit substances completely. That's just a reality. But we can dang sure limit it and handle this drug crisis. Not to mention, another benefit which I haven't mentioned is in regards to fentanyl. See, fentanyl is naturally dangerous, but importantly, with a lot of legal dealers, we can have regulations set up not only to strangle their production and make it harder, but also to make sure fentanyl never enters production. That means that less people are going to die of an overdose. And so, it allows fundamentally for less deaths, essentially allowing us to handle the drug crisis. I'll say it bluntly. The war on drugs will never end so long as people are dying to drugs. So, if we're gonna win, better to play it smart rather than play it dumb. And this is my proposal for how to do so. I do hope you enjoyed, and have a good one.